I'm Tori, and today I'm going to be discussing the book Pastoral by André Alexis. I listened to the audiobook narrated by the author, and I had so much fun with this book. It follows Father Pennant, who has just gotten out of seminary school, and he moves to a little town in rural Canada and is going to become a preacher for the first time, and it just kind of follows his adventures with all of his parishioners. So based on the description of the book, I was expecting it to kind of talk about him getting to know the whole community, but it actually just focuses on two different groups of parishioners and follows their kinds of adventures and the different discussions they have with him. One of the people spends much more time talking to Father Pennant than the others do. The others just kind of go through their adventures and occasionally seek advice from him. So this book was very charming. I highly recommend you go read it and then come back to hear my opinions. So the first storyline that this book covered was the love triangle between Liz, Robbie, and Jane. So Liz and Robbie are engaged and are going to be married soon, and Robbie is having an affair with Jane and apparently has been for quite a while, and she was also his first girlfriend. So this storyline was very strange. Like, it started out kind of intriguing, and then the more it went on, the more I got to dislike all of the characters who were involved in it. So Robbie is basically just a very stupid and selfish person. He isn't really in love with Liz or Jane, at least not enough for it to matter, and he definitely shouldn't be with either one of them. And he cheats on Liz with Jane and then says, oh, can't it just go on this way? Like, what's the problem? I don't see why this is a big deal. I mean, I love you both. Life's great, let's just keep going. And he is just not very self-aware and not particularly smart and just really needs to get a clue and figure stuff out, and I had no sympathy for him whatsoever. Jane is really bored with small town life, and she should have left the town ages ago and gone out into the world and done something with her life because she is so bored in that town. And she's sitting around this town, not only ruining her own life, but also messing with the lives of other people. She doesn't really think about her actions. She doesn't care that much about Robbie. It's not a big deal to her, so she doesn't think about what she's doing to him, and especially not to Liz. I thought it was really strange that when she makes her bet with Liz about whether or not she can get Robbie to go into the beauty parlor naked, she also makes a bet with herself. And if she loses, then she has to leave town. And I thought it was so interesting that the thing she wants most out of life is to leave town, but that's the thing that she picks to be something that she really and truly doesn't want to happen. And so it was good that even when she won the bet and didn't have to leave town, she said, oh, you know what? I should, because I really need to get out of here, and everyone will benefit from that. I am so glad she finally decided to go. Then Liz was the character I had the most sympathy for through most of the story. She's the one who is kind of the victim in all of this. You know, her fiancé is the one who is cheating on her, and I felt very sorry for her right up until the end of the story, when she didn't actually decide to leave Robbie. And she didn't really make the decision to stay with him either. She just didn't decide to leave him. And so she kept thinking, you know, I should call off my wedding. I'll get around to that one of these days. And she just didn't. And she's standing up there at the altar, and I'm thinking, okay, now sense is finally going to kick in, and she'll say, I don't love this man, I should leave. But she's like, you know, I should really break up with him. I should call this off. Oh, look, the ceremony's over. I guess we're married. And it's not like she's forgiven him. She's not in love with him. She realizes that she is probably never going to be in love with him again. She also realizes that he will probably cheat on her again. And she really doesn't want to be with him, but for some reason she just can't be bothered to actually call off the relationship. And so she marries him, just kind of out of a sense of apathy. And that was so strange to me. And, like, he was not a great person, and he did some horrible things, but he doesn't deserve to be tortured by being married to someone who doesn't love him and doesn't want to be with him. And I don't know why she wants to torture herself that way, and she's not thinking cruel things like, I'm purposely going to torture Robbie by marrying him and making his life miserable. She's just kind of, oh, look, I guess we're married now. Okay. And that was just so strange to me. I couldn't figure out why she made that decision. So the second storyline in the book got a little bit less of the time, I felt like, than the love triangle storyline, but I actually enjoyed it a lot more and thought it was very interesting. This one was the one that was directly related to Father Pennant, and it was the story of the man whose family had always died at the same age for generations. He knew he was going to die this year, and for some reason he wanted to test Father Pennant to see if he was the right person to give him his last rites. And first of all, the whole idea of knowing exactly when you're going to die was really interesting, and it was interesting to kind of look back on his life and see how he had been really reckless when he was young, and then he got older and kind of did some better things with his life, and he had a very interesting philosophy and an interesting outlook on life. And then I don't really know why he decided to test Father Pennant, but it was interesting to see Father Pennant's reactions. And you know, for the first couple of miracles, Father Pennant was so amazed because he saw these moths form this amazing pattern, and it turns out it was just an optical illusion. And he saw a man walking on water, and it turns out that there were, hidden stepping stones in the water. And Father Pennant was so amazed and reacted to this in such a way that the dying man decided that he passed the test and was apparently approved for last rites giving. But then that shook Father Pennant's faith so much. And so then you get to the third miracle, and the book doesn't tell us. Father Pennant assumes that it was just another prank, and maybe it was, the dead man's way of saying, okay, I'm going to let you have one more miracle and try to restore your faith. Maybe he was trying to test it again. Father Pennant doesn't try to find out, and it leaves it kind of open-ended, the way it's phrased. He could come back and test it again, but right now he's so shaken he doesn't believe in miracles anymore, and it's a little uncertain whether he'll even go on being a priest. And I thought that was just kind of an interesting thing to say, that no one was trying to hurt Father Pennant or change the way he looked at the world, but just because of the actions that people took for themselves, it really changed him and altered the way he perceived the world, and it's going to change the rest of his life forever. And it would be interesting to see. I'm a little unclear if this book is part of a series or not. Online I've looked, and some websites list it as being part of a series with another book that André Alexis wrote, but some of them don't, so I'm not sure. Maybe they're just companion novels or novels in the same universe, but there could still be a sequel later. And I really hope there is a sequel, and we can kind of see what Father Pennant decides to do with his life and how he ends up approaching these issues and what he thinks. Maybe André Alexis will give it a little bit of time to settle, and give the character a chance to grow and for years to pass, and then maybe he'll come back to it again. I would really enjoy that. The book also left it open-ended as to whether the gentleman who died had actually had some sort of curse on his family, and he was destined to die at that age, or if he just had expected it so much that somehow he subconsciously committed suicide or something, or just wasn't willing to save himself because he just expected to die so much. And I thought that was a really interesting question too. So I really loved this book. I thought the writing was beautiful, and I thought it asked a lot of interesting questions about humanity. And I didn't agree with a lot of the characters' actions or decisions, but I thought it was very interesting to kind of get inside their heads and look at how they viewed the world and how they made their choices. So this book definitely made me think, and I enjoyed reading it very much.